Hello, this is the backup video for Wednesday, September 29th, 2020, in ancient and medieval world history. Ancient and medieval history. Gosh. Okay. Bless you.
That was once again a cough.
That's fine. I'd rather err on the side of over-blessing than neglect my blessing responsibilities. Okay. So, first off, you're wrong. Not true. Shut up, man. What am I paraphrasing and quoting from?
I know. Biden.
Well, not just Biden, Trump and Biden. Last night's debate.
I was about to ask about that.
So, I'm going to take a moment to offer you my thoughts on the debate and invite yours, because this is history in the making, such as it is. If you've been paying any attention, you know that I'm planning on voting for President Trump this year. I didn't in 2016 because I thought as a campaigner he looked like an unhinged demagogue. That is, a person who has no connection to reality, who says whatever it needs, whatever he can say to get the crowd on his side. However, he is governed more conservatively than any president since Ronald Reagan. And being a conservative, I kind of like that. So I'm going to vote for him on the basis of his governance, his policies, regardless of how much of a buffoon or a bore he behaves like in campaign events. That's my own thing. Having said that, though, I can tell you, I watched all 90 plus minutes of that thing, and it was a street fight. It was nasty. It was not pleasant to watch, and both guys got into the dirt. Joe Biden's debating style is not so different from President Trump's, and it got personal real bad and real fast. If I had to say who I thought won, I think they both lost. And it's not because that they didn't discuss important issues. There were important issues discussed, but it was in a sea of nasty pettiness. So my impression is, as a debate, it was a loss, a net loss for both candidates. What do you think? Did you see it? What is your observation? What is your opinion of the two guys? And what is your thoughts, or what are your thoughts on how this may impinge upon the election? Zoe. Okay. Yes, aside from the smackery of the fight, do you have any other thoughts that you wish to verbalize?
No, I missed it because I was working on my research project for the history class.
As long as it's my fault. As long as it's my fault.
I missed the most.
That's okay. Yes, Miss Pepin.
I watched the whole debate, unfortunately, and it was. I definitely don't like Trump, and so it kind of made me mad. Some of the things that how his opinions are on certain things.
How? What? Can you speak up a little louder? Or
Yeah, so I didn't like his opinions on certain things. Like they were, I don't know. I just completely disagreed with them, and I thought that they both were sort of. It kind of, when the moderator kept being like gentlemen or something, it sounded almost like a teacher talking to two kids, like having an argument.
I felt for the moderator. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you though. Are you done? No. If you have more, I want to hear it.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I can get not agreeing with Trump. I feel that way about Biden. I've been paying attention to Joe Biden since the late 1970s, and I can tell you, I have agreed with him once. When he voted for the Iraq War, and for the Afghanistan War, I was for that.
Wouldn't that be twice?
That would be twice, but it's basically for the wars on terror. Other than that, I can't think of a single thing that I agree with Joe Biden about. But it's not just that; it was the way they talk to one another. It was the constant interruptions, which you referenced. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like Julia said, it was the unprofessionalism for me. It was just how it didn't even sound like presidential campaign. It just sounded like two people arguing.
Mm-hmm. No, I am sure that if you were in their shoes, you would have each comported yourself with more dignity than they did and more decorum. But that isn't what they were after. Both of those men are naturally street fighters. Now, Biden's a politician. He's been around in elective office since the late 60s, very early 70s. Trump is a businessman. His only elected office is as the President of the United States. So I was interested to see how they'd handle things differently. I didn't see much difference in the end. Trump may have been more frequently interrupting, but Biden did his share and calling the president a fool and other things. There was schmutz and blood on both sides, in my judgment. Do you think that there was a particular difference between the guys?
When I saw it, which wasn't long because it quickly got repetitive,
Mm-hmm.
it was both sides attacking each other,
Yeah.
like with the same ferocity and such.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I think this is partly because of what my dad thinks, but I am pro-Trump. Because, But I really don't think he's the best speaker. That's just me.
I tend to agree.
I didn't watch the whole debate because I have family emergencies, but I saw memes about it, and I saw Joe Biden just saying, "Would you shut up, man?" Because Trump kept interrupting.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really unprofessional because I thought it was a voiceover and they were joking. And it's like, no, he actually
He really said that. Yeah.
I'm like, well, one, Trump earned that title as president. Yes, Joe Biden may earn it one day, maybe, but he earned that, and he is still the president. So give a little bit of respect. Of course, I didn't see everything that Trump said, but
I can actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but in the circumstances, I can actually sympathize with Sleepy Joe on that one. Excuse me, with ex-Vice President Biden there. Is that more respectful? No, I can, because it was constant. And again, both of them did it. But yeah, I see your point. The truth is, I would have liked to have seen both men take the thing more seriously. Or just remove the moderator. Put them both on stage, go ding ding, you got 90 minutes, have at one another. And at first they'd be like they were, but eventually I think that they would settle in because you have to listen to the other guy in order to answer him. I think that would have been a better situation than having the poor moderator try to take control when clearly the men did not want to be in any kind of control.
Yeah.
Both of them were just into it. Yes.
Well, I thought that, like, if they had talked about, like, their issues in a more gentlemanly fashion, instead of just getting personal like that. It's like when my brothers and I argue about something, like, it's normally about something stupid, like, oh, you took the last bowl of cereal, my favorite kind, or something. But then, instead of being like, oh, well, I wanted this because of that, it's like, dude, why'd you take that? Shut up. Stop talking to me.
Yeah, it's evolved. Devolution is the opposite of evolution. It's going down. And it's evolved fast.
Yeah.
There's a scene from Anchorman where they have a fight with the other anchors. And did you see Brick? He threw a trident to the guy. Yeah, that's evolved really fast. Same thing with this. There was not a point in the entire debate where they were both dignified or cordial. Not one. And that's amazing. Yeah.
So I didn't miss the entire thing because I kind of just had it playing while I was working.
Uh-huh.
But what I heard, it didn't end well. And just by seeing like what's been happening before leading up to it, like with all the preparations and stuff, and all the traditional last minute controversy of the president, as tradition by every single American president I remember living. During the time of it, kind of has been started to get a bit ugly, and I personally just feel like I'm still kind of not exactly enthusiastic about the way that Trump handled the coronavirus. I just feel like it could have been done a bit better.
That's fine. We don't agree on that particular point, but I can see it. I can see people certainly saying Trump should have done this or that differently with coronavirus and with other things. People are for or against President Trump or Vice President Biden on the basis of policy. That's fine. That's actually good reasons to vote. What bugs me is sometimes people are looking for a role model or a leader or somebody kids will look up to. And I've been watching debates since 80. And I rewatched the 76 debate on tape, and I can tell you this is unique. I have never seen a debate where both men paid so little attention to them, to the dignity of the moment or the office, or to the fact that little kids are going to look up to them. It was not that kind of thing.
I was going to say that I'm not going to completely say. I'm mainly just saying it off of the fact that I just think that the way that it was handled, at least in Trump did, was like if Biden handled it the same way, I would have felt the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to give weight to one of the two for like what they hated. I'm trying to be more fair with the whole.
Well, that is good and that is reasonable. The important thing is that you develop your own opinions and your own reasons for having the opinions you do.
I learned that from your class last year.
Oh, I don't take credit for that. That's just having good sense, but thank you. So where we are, did you have something? Did I see something over here? Remember, I'm blind in one eye, so I don't necessarily always catch you guys out of the corner of my eye. So no, I don't even talk. Okay. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here. First off, the possibility is that next week you're going to have a very different show because it's going to be the vice presidential candidates. Mike Pence, like his policies or not like them, is a Midwestern gentleman. What I mean by that is he is polite to a fault. He is like the opposite of Trump in the way he carries himself. So you're going to see Midwestern nice, Indiana nice. He'll argue his position, but he'll do so in a very, very polite way. That's just the way he is. Yes.
Personally, I think he's a good president for good vice president.
Yeah.
Trump.
Oh yeah. No,
he needs.
They do.
Good.
They really do. Actually, the best debate I ever heard was between two vice presidential candidates. Joe Lieberman was Al Gore's VP in 2000, and Dick Cheney was George W. Bush's VP candidate in 2000. And their debate was just perfect. It was beautiful. But they were vice presidents, so it didn't really change much. So
I have two quick things. One, what do you think about the person that Biden nominated as the vice president?
Well, I'll tell you in a moment. I was about to get to that. Yeah.
I was just curious. What did you think about the whole controversy with the Ginsburg issue? Or, like,
the Supreme Court thing?
Yeah.
I think it's a question of power. The Democrats did not have the Senate back in 2016. Personally, I think that they should have waited. But had the Democrats had the presidency and the Senate in 2016, Obama would have gotten his last Supreme Court pick, whether it would have been Garland or somebody more extreme. But we have a Republican president and a Republican Senate right now. The president decided to nominate, which Obama did. The Senate is deciding to go forward. So I'm going to accept that because I don't think the Democrats would honestly do much different. But it's not ideal. Honestly, I would have rather it waited until at least after the election. But as to Harris, okay. Harris, who's going to be debating Pence next week, is a California district attorney. That her training is as a lawyer and a prosecutor. So she is going to tend to be very aggressive. And it's not going to be so much interesting because of Pence. He's a known quantity to most people. Harris is going to be introducing herself to the American people in that debate, to a lot of people who've never heard her speak before and who've never seen very much. That's going to be their experience. So she has to walk a pretty fine line between being strong and aggressive on the one hand and appearing hysterical on the other hand. And the reason for that, she's much more important than a usual VP pick because Biden seems so frail mentally and physically to so many people. A lot of people are going to vote on the basis of if Biden goes, is she going to make an effective president? Trump and Biden are of an age, but Trump seems healthier. That doesn't mean anything. He could drop dead too, in which case it would be Pence. But it'll be a different show. And I think it'll be interesting to at least tune into and watch for a little while. What really interests me, though, is the next two debates. If the people around both Vice President Biden and President Trump can actually get through to them, because the debate last night brought out the worst in both men. I'm not a fan of Biden. I never have been. But I have seen him much better than what he was last night. And I've also seen Trump much better than he was last night. For whatever reason, it just brought out the worst in those guys. If somebody around them can convince them that they didn't do themselves any favors last night, we'll see if the second and third debates that they're going to have are any different. I tend to think there may be a change. There may be more self-control. There may be more restraint. I hope there is. because there are a lot of fair-minded people that were completely turned off last night. And this is an important election. And there are real differences between the men, other than that they don't like each other. The policies that they advocate are diametrically opposed. On environmental policy, on government interference or regulation, tax policy, foreign policy, defense policy, all of these things, even the space program, they have different ideas. So that, I hope, is what the debates are going to be about. But we'll see. Any last-minute comments or words? Zoe?
So I have two things. So for this first one, so is that the reason why they had the VP debates, because of the chance of like something
Yes,
like that happening?
and they've had VP debates. I remember them in '84. So at least for 36 years. Yeah.
Also, I think that like part of the other problem also kind of is the community of like both people who are supporting the ends of like the presidents, like left-wing, right-wing communities.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're kind of causing a tiny bit of that problem as well.
Well, I think more than a tiny bit.
Well,
I think that look, I'm an extreme conservative by many people's lights, but I can see how people would say that the process is being poisoned by politicians who are too close to the extremes, and by not having somebody who at least tries to be more in the center.
because I've seen people on like the left side who have like just been absolutely horribly like verbally to people that were on the right side, and it happened actually recently in my family that my family is on the left side, so my aunt got a Biden and Harris magnet for her car, and when my uncle was driving and had parked, somehow in between the time, someone just went up and sort of like put a Trump sticker over it.
That's
without
obnoxious.
Their consent.
No.
Which,
we've had campaign signs stolen from the front of our driveway. Now I have a flag attached to my house, and I will defend my home. And I'm a member of the NRA, a life member, so that'll give you some idea. I hope it never has to happen. Yeah. But no, the petty theft of people on both sides. The only time I've ever seen that good, I had some buddies in high school who, just before a mayoral election, the night before, went through their entire suburb and switched the signs. They didn't steal them, they switched them. So the Republican signs now suddenly had Democrat signs, and vice versa. And that was funny, because everyone could see what happened. That at least was humorous. But stealing signs because you don't like the message, that's obnoxious. Whoever does it, I gotta go. I gotta be quick. 5 seconds.
Quick thing.
5.
Do you think it would have been any different if it was Bernie and Trump? If it was Sanders and Trump?
I think it would have been worse, actually. Because I don't think it would have been much different. Bernie also is Bernie. You had your hand?
Yeah, right.
You sure?
Oh, it's just that my brother has a Camaro and he put someone slapped the Obama sticker on it last election, and people are always stealing signs. So it's both sides. It's not.
I know it is. I know it's obnoxious when anyone does it. It shouldn't happen.
Sorry, quick question. Yeah. Because I didn't watch the debate. Did Trump kind of walk on there like arrogant, like I got this, or did Joe Biden start?
No, what it was that I will say that Trump started it, but they both went in. They didn't let the other person answer. They interrupted each other constantly. They talked over each other constantly. It was like if you're expecting a boxing match following the Marquis of Queensberry rules, and you end up with a street fight where people are biting each other and gouging their eyes. That's what the difference was. There was no politeness. There was no restraint. I mean, they didn't start cursing at one another mightily, but everything up to that was pretty nasty. Anyway, we'll see where it goes. Thank you for the discussion, those of you who participated, and for those of you who listened. So where we are now is we're going to do a couple of creation myth presentations, and then I am going to shut the stream off so that we can correct the tests from yesterday. For now, let's see. So this is 4A. Before Julia goes, and Julia's first because she's doing the Babylonian creation myth, I'm going to do some previous introductions. I'm Babel. Sorry. I was going to have a talk about who the enemy is in the war on terror. I'm going to postpone it. Creation myths. What the person is supposed to bring is what stands out about the myth. And you, in the audience, should have notes out and be writing things down. You know where the myths are in your note pack? That's where you should be now. You should be in your note pack at the beginning of the myths by the Zoroastrian myth right after the map page. That's number 1.
Where?
In your note pack.
Yeah, but where in the note pack?
It's after the maps, near the end, and it's the first of the creation myths, the Zoroastrian creation. So, since no one has the Zoroastrian myth, I'm going to practice with that.
I still can't find it.
Okay. There you are. Close. Go back. This way. More. Okay. There we are.
Oh, damn.
Okay. So, I could read from this, I could quote from this, but I'm going to do what I expect a student to do. In the Zoroastrian creation myth, there is a tension between a Lord of Light, Ahura Mazda, and a Dark Lord, Ahriman. And that tension is what brings creation into being. There is a war in the heavens between the light and the dark. So that's what stands out to me about the myth. In terms of human beings, in Zoroastrian faith, the job of a person is to choose. Because every choice is going to tilt the universe towards light or darkness. Even, do you want fries with that, is a choice that has a moral significance to it. And every decision you make is going to tilt the universe. Why? Because the universe is an ongoing explosion. Imagine a realm of pure matter, of pure light, of pure white energy. And the lord of that realm is Ahura Mazda, the wise lord. And there's another realm, completely separate, dark, evil, and it's the realm of Abramanyu or Mazd. I'm sorry, Ahriman, who is the Dark Lord. And then, for reasons unclear, the light and the dark encounter one another. Boom! In that encounter is an explosion, like matter and antimatter coming together. And that explosion is the universe. Light, sound, space, time, living, death, all those things are part of the explosion. So far, there are some similarities to the Jewish and Christian and Islamic ideas, but in Zoroastrianism, there are two gods that are equal in power. Satan is not God's equal, but in Persian Zoroastrianism, the Dark Lord and the Lord of Light are equal in power. And what's going to determine the fate of the universe is the choices that every person makes. So your job as a person is to make good choices. So you see, what I've done there is I talked about the myth a little bit. I talked about the nature of the world as an explosion caused by the instability created when ultimate light and ultimate darkness come into contact. And the human condition, the human job, is to make good choices. Do you see how that worked? Are there any questions about what it is I expect from you? This is a much more informal presentation than I had originally planned. Much less strict. So let's see if anyone has what is next, which is Genesis. Well, actually, no, we have nobody there for Genesis. So I'm going to take time. I will get to you, but I'm going in the order that they appear in the book. So, Genesis chapter 1. And I do expect you to take notes because there will be test items on these. So, if there are any questions about Zoroastrianism, it's also called Persian dualism. There's two gods. Yeah. Ahura Mazda, Ahura, hyphen Mazda, like the car, Mazda. We're a Mazda. Okay. So, in the beginning was darkness and void, and God's Spirit moved upon the waters. And then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And the evening, and the light was separated from the darkness. And the evening and the morning of the first day. Over the next 6 days, God finishes his creation, creating the earth, the sky, the sea, separating the rain above the sky from the water below the sky, creating plants, creating animals of the land, of the air, of the sea, creating the first man out of clay, breathing a soul into the clay sculpture that was Adam. But Adam was alone. So God took a rib from Adam and crafted her into woman, Eve, his equal and opposite, his helpmate, his wife. And God rested on the seventh day to reflect upon his labors. So the first chapter of Genesis deals with the creation of heaven and earth, of the animals and plants, of men and women. And it talks about first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth day of creation. Sixth day is when men were created and women. The seventh day is the Sabbath, the holy day of God, set aside for worship, which for Jews is Saturday. From Friday sunset until Saturday sunset is Shabbat, or the Sabbath, the holy day of the Jewish week. What it says about men what it says about the universe is that God is the author of life. That the universe is not an accident, that we are here for a purpose, and that purpose is in the mind of God. God made everything. There is nothing that exists that was not made by God. So there is no dark lord that is equal to God. There is no accidental evolution. There is only the author of life, who is a living, thinking God, a creator. And that man has been made by him. Any questions on that, on Genesis chapter 1? Okay. Miss Pep and I don't think you're going to go today, so you can relax. Genesis chapter 2 deals with the initial story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. It places the Garden of Eden in modern Iraq, and the garden is a place where human beings have a job. And there are different jobs for Adam, or men, and Eve, or women. Adam is the gardener of Eden. His job is to care for and be a good steward of the world God gave him. He is put in charge of the natural world. So his job is to both care for and run nature. But he has a second job. He's not only the gardener of Eden, he is the namer of things. Now, names have a magical power in most pre-industrial societies. In medieval Christian ideas about magic, evil people would summon demons by getting their true name and controlling them through their true name. It's like a voodoo doll idea. If you have something's true name, you can mess with it, you can distort it, you can destroy it. So if you have somebody's true name, you have ultimate control over them. Naming and speaking are huge deals. Why? God creates with a word. God doesn't start shoveling. God doesn't start magically making things with his hands. God speaks, light, and there is light. Words Names are deeply important. So when Adam names the four-legged creature that wags its tail when it's happy and goes woof, and he calls that creature dog, he is not simply associating a sound with that creature. He is helping to shape its very identity as a canine. Friendly, loyal, protector. Sometimes goofy. When he names cat or horse, he is shaping the very nature of those things. By giving them names, he is not simply making symbols for them, he is helping to define their very nature, their very identity. Do you get that? Does anyone not understand the significance of Adam being the namer of things? Now, we come to something that we'll deal with when we deal with the Jewish Talmud. The relationship between men and women is no more equal than the relationship between humans in the natural world. There is a hierarchy. What job does Eve have? Eve is the helpmate of Adam. She is the companion of Adam, the helpmate of Adam. She is there to help the man. She is not there to do the job of the man. There are differences. Now, you can take what you want from that, but that it has to do with the nature of things. So, this chapter, before the fall, before the temptation, deals with the nature of men and women in a perfect state. Men are the gardeners of Eden and the namers of things. Women are the helpmates of men, intended by God to work in concert with one another together. Any questions on Genesis 2? Okay, I'm going to leave it there. We'll continue next time. Oh, Zoe, you had the Talmud, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought Julia was going ahead of you. But no. Zoe, you're not going today either. I hope that's a good thing.
Yay.
I'm going to stop the stream. Everyone clear off your desks. And we'll go into the correcting mode. But I've got to get my video and shut it off. Bye.